Love to welcome everybody to the show here. Give everybody a moment to get in here. Highly recommend one of these. Crown Royal this evening. Life is good. Let the gallery fill up a little bit anyway. Push this through every Friday. Provide a consistent message for people to understand that financial markets will ebb and flow. We just so happen to be in quite a rut right now. It's interesting enough. Value in the Dow Jones down about 13%. So value is kind of holding in there, in my assessment. We're a couple ticks away from bear market territory, and I hope we get there. I do. We're at 18.14 in the S&P 500. I think we'll get over 20%. At least I hope we do. I've seen this many times play out. It butts right up against the 20% mark, only to come back. People are becoming accustomed to what it is that they need to do, or at least I believe that they are. Is there anybody in the gallery who's freaking out or they are on life support right now? You can come on. I'll talk to you. I dropped the link. You can come on and talk to me. I'll provide you a little bit of coaching, mentoring, whatever it is that you need to understand that life is bigger than your portfolio. No doubt about it. Portfolio probably a little less valuable than it was last week, but we're not investing for that. We're investing for where you're going to be down the line, and down the line could be as little as a year to see this thing kind of wash out a little bit. Me personally made a couple strategic injects in the market today, one of which was to pick up the TQQQ because what I'm seeing here rolling off with the big three, Amazon, Google, Facebook is falling in there just a little bit. But with the TQQQs long, I doubled my position to 100 shares. I felt like that was a prudent move. And so, just taking strategic shots in the market here, NASDAQ's off 27%. So, by my calculation, we are fully immersed in a bear market. And I'm glad to enjoy it with you kind folks. If you can just flip the script on this bitch a little bit and just kind of think the opposite of the way everybody else is thinking about this, you'll be right in the pocket. It's so much easier to look at the market in from the lens of the further it goes down, the more of an opportunity that it provides you. And there has to be people out there that have been frustrated looking at this market over the last many years. I mean, many years, and watched it go up every single day, every single day. Now we've got a little systemic shock to the market. That's fine. Price of goods going up. Everybody's talking about our supply chain that we've had decades to iron through. And all of a sudden, right now, everything's crumbling and going to hell, and everybody just needs to throw in the towel on the United States of America. I beg to differ. I beg to differ, sport. I just do. I'm a bull at heart, and I'll continue to invest in financial markets. I look at these markets, and this to me, as drastic of a sell-off as it's been, I find pockets of value in this market right now. There's some severely drawn down names. I mean, Boeing got my attention today at 120. It went down for a matter of seconds to $89 a share during the absolute depth of the history of Boeing. And here it is at 120. Some other names that really stick out to me. I've left my conviction buys in here. If you wanted to pick up some Google at any time in your life and pick it up pre-split here, feel free to do it. The value is I think it's about 16, 17 times right here. It doesn't get any better than that. And then with Amazon, looking at Amazon off 41%, it's oversold right now. It's just that simple. So there are some pockets of value to be had. I want to clarify something that I've spoke with the group about with regard to my hands-off approach to the market. I want to be crystal clear with you guys. I dollar cost average about $2,000 a month into the market. So it just speaks to my conviction about financial markets over the long term when I disclose to you guys what it is that I do. About $1,000 goes into my TSP every single month. And then, of course, with the Roth IRA contributions, that's another 500 on top of that. And I usually try to pick my spots, conveniently pick my spots to make sure that I'm picking up those value plays that I see on the landscape. I do have a fairly mature portfolio. Really, the game right now is fairly simple. I'm writing my own script in, not doing a whole lot. Real simple. I don't think that people need to always be looking at financial markets from this perspective, thinking that because they monitor it going down all the time, that they need to look at it and they need to do something about it. That's just not how we need to be dealing with this situation. We need to just be looking at this and we need to be looking at it diplomatically. You want to take a strategic stab at the market? Great. You want to increase your dollar cost average contribution? Now, there's an idea. We can go on and on and on about diplomatic ways of approaching making sense of this market. But as soon as you allow yourself to be swooped up with this whole like everything's going to hell mentality, you're in trouble. Okay. I tuned into CNBC. I always take my free preview because I won't pay to take CNBC through my streaming service. And same old crap, no doubt about it. So glad I cut that garbage out of my life. I have been devote to wrapping things up here in Virginia. We're going to continue to roll the product out probably for the next coming couple of weeks, keeping the streak alive. We want to make sure I'm intimately devoted to this because I know there's probably some people out there that give in to emotions when they look at what's going on in the market, portfolio values roll off, and they don't have the validation that I have and have learned in years past and decades past going through this many, many times. And I come on to share that. I do. And this too shall pass. Okay. This too shall pass. And the unfortunate part about it is there's probably some new investors that are not accustomed to this type of volatility in financial markets. This, to me, is completely normal. This is what happens. And what ends up happening when people start investing in a bull market, they begin to get complacent. These are things that I've talked about, and I'm very unpopular for it. People don't like to come on and have me cheerlead or fluff their ass all the way along in their pipe dream of becoming rich in the stock market because I give two sides of the coin, up and down. It's the game of life. Okay. If you've listened to Tom Petty, what goes up must come down, right? And it's these lessons that you'll learn that are not uh, they're not bad lessons. If you're going through this right now, trust me, it will be the very validation. Now, when that comes 6 months down the line, maybe next month, I have no idea. Maybe a year from now, maybe we go into a prolonged sideways channeling market here where we find a base and we don't go down and we don't go up. We just kind of absorb what's going on in the market right now. Unfortunately, I see a couple other things rolling off. I think that price of goods is going to be affected. I think that prices of our transportation industry are suffering right now in that the cost of diesel is out of control. So what cost X amount to put in the tank at $3 a gallon of diesel last year is double that price. That goes right to the bottom line, guys. Fuel is what drives this economy. That's why I put it as one of my needs, okay? Because it's a tax to the lower end consumer. I have to put fuel into my tank. I don't have a choice. I'm not going to run to work, okay? I'm not going to hitchhike either. I don't have a choice. If fuel was $10 a gallon, I would put it in my vehicle. Transportation companies, they also don't have a choice. They don't have a choice. Okay. So they will incur those costs and they will look to pass those on to the consumer. I'm fascinated by what's going on right now. I really am. I don't, I think that people have been lulled to sleep. And I think that this is a dose of reality. I think it's a reality and a wake up call to understand that your involvement in financial markets, whether it be very, very good or perceived very, very bad, perhaps maybe times like this, that you look at financial markets and you're like, what the hell am I doing here? Is so much better, I contend, than not being a participant at all. Okay. So it's very, very important to understand that I do a very good job on this project in differentiating for those investors, introducing financial markets to those folks out there that are looking to grow wealth for themselves. What a wonderful time to pick up the triple Qs right here. If you're a young person and you're seeing Amazon down where it is, Amazon over the next 10 years is a scary proposition. And my friend Rick is in the group here. He talked about opportunities being abound in this market. I totally agree. Here's the problem. What happens is this volatility blinds people to seeing the market for what it is, and that is clarity. Okay. There will be millionaires that are made. And the further the market goes down, the more those opportunities will be uncovered. Okay. It's for those prudent and sharp minds that are willing to diplomatically look at the stock market, look at those opportunities, look at where those areas of emphasis, perhaps maybe there's areas of your portfolio that you've always wanted to add that additional layer to. Now's the time to go ahead and do that. Now is the time to really start to embolden that dollar cost average schedule. Ask yourself what you're doing. I'm doing 500. The market's off 13%. Now's the time when you're kind of buying the market lower. And these are the times that you want to take advantage of. Conversely, I said when the market was high, and for you guys that have been with me, you're getting a real special treat because when the market's high, I wear a specific hat. I take on a different defensive mentality in the market. In other words, I don't get into this euphoric, oh my goodness, I need to fall over myself to buy the market because that's what everybody else is doing. Okay. It's the opposite, actually. I get cautious. I continue my dollar cost average, but I start to really look at those opportunities that I can fine tune, but I throttle back on the aggressiveness when we're in super prolonged bull markets. Now, it's times like this when I start to shift gears a little bit, and you'll notice that it's always against the current. It's always against public opinion. Hyliion, perfect example. Basing here at $3, showing really good support. Nobody's talking about it. It's actually up month over month, 10%. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody will talk about it. Okay. I actually see more negative sentiment now on Hyliion than I saw at $58. Why is that? It's because everybody wants to feel really, really good when their thesis is playing out and they don't want to be contrarian. And for you guys that are new to investing, being contrarian is super, super important to always look to identify opportunities from two different perspectives. It doesn't mean that being contrarian is always going to be that truth and the light. Buy a stock because it's come down all the time. No, it doesn't mean that. What it means is to entertain the prospect of picking up shares when they're lower. And I find that there's too many social media creators on right now. I was just disappointed as hell this week to come on and consume a content creator that I've endorsed on the channel. And I think this individual is probably a really, really good guy. As a matter of fact, I know that he is. But to just flip the script all the time from week to week, it's a different this and that. And oh my goodness, the stock is down 2 bits and everybody's talking about it. So therefore, I should go this way. It's completely wrong. It's just completely wrong in the approach. And the sewer, blah, 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 through YouTube is just influencing people in the wrong way. You cannot look at the stock market through the lens of days or weeks or even months. It means nothing. I've said this many, many times. It means absolutely nothing. And furthermore, I don't need your validation. I don't need 10, 12 people to come on and say, this is a really good deal. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the movement. Ryan, you're in it to win it. You're with the winning crowd now. You dumped the losing crowd and now you're in the winning crowd. What? I don't need that validation at all. The only validation I need is my own conviction. That's it. You want to share in our conviction? Yours is going to be different than mine. I'm all for that. But man alive, the justification that is going into your stock analysis is the end all be all in regards to the dollars that you pledge to a certain company, which I find extremely ironic. They're making huge progress with their company because they have a huge investor relations department. So that's justification to buy the stock? I don't get it. I don't get it. What are the margins on your product? Oh, you can't tell me. Where is your product actually going to fuel up? Where's the infrastructure that's actually going to support this product that you're so bullish on? And you're coming on and you're sharing it with a social media audience. I don't understand. And these are the questions that always get revolved around that never get asked. They never get addressed. Like, you're part of the club now. Good job. They don't even look at the stock. The stock's down just as much as the one I'm looking at. They're both speculative growth. Both of them. They're both speculative growth. And if you want to know the truth, look at the 1 month chart. Okay. My bull, this bull, he always agrees with me too. Right? Right, Leon? Yep. Good. Is Hyliion a good investment? I like him because he always agrees with me. It's pretty cool. For you guys that want to pick up Leon, man, you can pick him up. The description is in the link. Before I told the artist I'd help him out, provide some referral. But I tell you what, man, it's interesting enough to understand that the justification. I by no means come on and perceive to have or to project that I have all the answers. I don't do that. But man alive, at least discuss the important things. Okay. Because the company is 3 times as big or 4 or 5 times as big, it's somehow a better investment, or it somehow has a better product because it has a dream. Or I heard a rationalization that just blew me away. Because Hyliion is working toward and putting R&D dollars toward hydrogen fuel cell, that automatically means that they're looking to make their RNG CNG opportunity obsolete. And it's like, man alive, you had it good when you were talking about the hydrogen fuel cell initiative, and then you go and you just double down on this stupid, idiotic opinion that is suggesting that somehow RNG is not going to be a player in the space. My video last Sunday talked about optionality with Hyliion, and I think that's the key. I do. If you think for a second that diesel is going away, you're crazy. Right now, as we speak, the status quo is 95% dominated by diesel. That's the facts. You can dispute it all you want. I don't know. I hugged the tree really hard this week, Ryan. You're wrong. The entire industry is going toward this or that. Fine, believe what you want. No problem. The sheer reality is such that we are looking to relieve our reliance upon one fuel source, diesel. Okay? It's not going away. Sorry. 25 years from now, we will still be using diesel. However, what we're betting on here is that the industry is going to reduce that reliance upon, and that 95% figure in the fleets are going to be reduced. Ryan, that's speculation on your part. Hold on a second. There are OEM mandates and fleet mandates right now that have just been signed into law to require that those percentages to the fleet have to come down. They have to. They cannot continue to rely on their ability to say that the technology is not there. And if I was a fleet, I would say the same thing. Look at it from the fleet's perspective. They have to move goods. It's that simple. What is the most reliable way of moving goods right now? Diesel. Do they care about the environment? Yeah, but they're not going to sacrifice the bottom line to move goods. Ain't going to happen. What am I the only one that thinks like rationally and just I don't know. Uh, I've like I'm a realist. And just if you think about these things for a couple seconds, you'll understand that while the technology is emerging on all fronts, hydrogen fuel cell, renewable natural gas is coming to fruition, and that the permits that are being cut are extremely bullish. It does not speak to a future that RNG is going to go away using existing infrastructure that already exists with the CNG infrastructure in all of North America, both Canada and the US alike doesn't suggest that that's going away at all. I think we're going to have to be open and honest with understanding that fuel as a basis drives everything, everything. And to suggest somehow that the technology is going to advance so much that we're going to flip the diesel and reliance on fossil fuels on its ear, and that somehow down the line we're going to be reliant on hydrogen fuel cell at a 95% clip, where is the data that suggests that? I do not see in the technology, I do not see in the product offerings that have come out by the two dominant players, Nikola and Hyzon, that we can turn the industry on its ear. What type of work has been done with regard to industry integration? Hyliion's got this licked, and they don't get any credit for it at all. And I'm very critical on Hyliion, very critical. People really don't like it that want me to just come on and cheerlead for the company. The people who get it, they understand what I'm trying to do with my intent to challenge where people challenge, because I sit across from Nikola Bowles and I do the same thing. I'm like, how can you say that? How can you not challenge what's going on? How can you just forgive the things that have gone on in the past? Just straight up lies with the technology. Oh, well, they've come a long way. Really? Have they come a long way? A company that was built on false pretenses? You know, I find that interesting. And I think when we're talking about the stock market as a whole, I think we really need to look at this in context and understand that if you're having a value discussion, or you're having a dividend discussion, or you're having a passive discussion with people, pick your discussion appropriately and adjust accordingly. Okay. People don't participate in the stock market to just lose money over the long term. People find a creative way to lose money in the stock market over the short term all the time. It's just amazing to me. How many people will give in? I'll throw in the towel. I've had enough. God dang it. Ryan said we're down 27% in the NASDAQ. I'm selling everything. It will be the worst mistake. And I'm not going to remind you of it. I'm going to tell you right now, just don't do it. Okay? If you want some prudent information to come through the channel, stocks are meant to be bought and held. They are meant to be funded over time, and they are meant to be held in the long term, not to be justified in the short term. It's that simple. You're using false pretenses to judge your long term viability in the stock market, and it just doesn't work, guys. Let it go. Let it go. It's all right. Pour yourself a nice fat cocktail. Mm-hmm. Steven's in the house. Nice to see you, Steven. Great to see you. I'm going to be doing a Q&A tonight, guys. So if you have questions for me, man, please drop it in the gallery. Really appreciate this. Hyliion is the evolution before the revolution. It is positioned for all fuel sources. So I've deemed this optionality in the business, and I've looked at it from all different angles. And I think hydrogen fuel cell, although wonderful, okay, is very underdeveloped right now. This is the reality. Do I think it is going to be viable into the future? I do. Do I think that there is infrastructure in place right now to support this potential viability down the line? No. And people who want to disagree with me all they want, they are just two shakes away from having their head up their backside because they don't understand the sheer reality of what's going on right now. Even if there was infrastructure in place, the cost of hydrogen fuel cell compared to an at the pump price comparison of compressed natural gas just does not jive with the economics. It just doesn't jive. You can put a solution that runs on CNG in play right now and reduce the TCO benefit to the fleets right now with CNG. So I totally agree. I think there's going to be a place. I'm not so sure if that place is going to be in Class 8. I think Hyzon is doing a great job in pursuing more of the 5, 6, and 7 market as well. I think a lot of them kind of shy to say, yeah, we're Class 8 too. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think the try benefit for fleets to look at the payload capacity, driver satisfaction, the amount of fueling downtime that it takes to fuel these rigs, I think, is going to be paramount. And I think at the end of the day, I'm just giving you my opinion. I could be totally wrong. And I'd like to hear more of these YouTubers talk like this. Go ahead and give your thoughts, and then justify that with a little bit of a statement to say, look, man, make your own decisions, because there's people out there that are completely bullish on Nikola. I took a small stab today in it right here today with the market down 600. I bought some long calls. I shared it with my Viper group. I bought some long calls, no problem. I bought it at a $7 strike. Okay. Bought it at a $7 strike because I think they will capture some form of the market. And I think it's going to be in the mid tier transportation category. I think Hyliion is going to dominate in the Class 8 space. I do. I don't think Nikola is going to compete with them in the Class 8 space, except for local moves. And I think port terminal moves where that zero emission and zero reliance on fossil fuels is probably going to be bullish for Nikola. The idea that I just suggested is not spoke about at all when people are talking about Nikola. People talk about it being leaps and bounds ahead of Hyliion. No, they're not. They're both in the shitter. Wake up. That's the truth. Look at the 6-month chart on both of them. They're both down 60%. Don't come to me and tell me that one is lightning bolts ahead of the other. I don't even know what that means, man. It's both speculative investing. Okay. So when you're talking about who's going to emerge over time, I actually think that both of these companies are going to emerge. I think Nikola is going to have an interesting go at it. I think they've done a good job of building their team. I think the factory that they have gives them the ability to make that splash. I just don't like their rollout. I don't like the rollout. I don't like the bullish thesis surrounding them delivering trucks to dealerships, which suggests that those rigs have to be sold to fleets and not integrated with fleets. Hyliion is going out to the industry and saying, what do you need? We're giving you 95% of the truck. What do you need on the bottom end with regard to fuel? Do you need hydrogen fuel cell? Do you need one that runs both? We have that too, right? Eventually, the Hypertruck ERX is going to be a four-prong animal, okay? It's going to be able to run CNG on CNG routes. It's going to be able to run RNG with existing CNG infrastructure. That's another. It's going to be able to run both hydrogen fuel cell and either RNG or CNG in the agnostic product. And then finally, when they introduce the hydrogen fuel cell, that's going to introduce that almost four-tier opportunity for them. Now, if you're a fleet and you sit back and you look at this thing, it's like, oh my goodness, this is incredible. I can go with CNG on this route. I can take the same Hypertruck ERX and put it into service down here with a potential for catching some fuel on the hydrogen fuel cell on this route. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's going to be great to see how this thing rolls out. I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of really good companies out there right now that are taking a wet blanket. I mean, companies can't do anything right now. There's no doubt about it. Everything's rolling off, and that's totally fine. But I'm continuing to scour the landscape and picking my spots. I disclosed to the group here, I bought TQQQ, which is the triple levered to the NASDAQ. I already own the NASDAQ and the Roth IRA, but the triple Qs I bought, I doubled the position today at $25 a share. I thought that was a fabulous entry. So went ahead and doubled that. I've got 100 shares now at TQQQ, and we'll hold it long. My idea is that technology over the next 10 or 20 years is absolutely going to give me that accelerated growth, and I'm in that for the long term. It's an easy product to own. I'm picking it up. TQQQ has been drugged down by what is their top three, which is Google, Amazon, I believe, and Facebook in the top three, I believe, but it encompasses 36% of the triple Qs. So went ahead and took a strategic stab at that, as well as the Nikola, along with the dollar cost averaging on it. And there's going to be some folks that say, well, why didn't you buy Hyliion? Um, Hyliion, I'm monitoring very, very closely. I did buy Hyliion. I did not disclose it to you guys when it went down to $2.68, and I didn't buy the stock. I bought the long calls. I bought the leaps at $3. Now those are already in the money. Okay. But here's the thing, if those leaps are not over $3 by 2024, I'll quit investing. I kind of made a joke with everybody. I think it was in Rick's Facebook group. I was kind of joking tongue in cheek, but sometimes you have to just allow yourself optionality in the market because people think that somehow the stock market is predictable to the point where people, I think, actually have themselves believing that they can control the market. It's almost better if you approach financial markets and say, "There's no way in hell I can approach this." Okay, so does it mean that we don't invest? You know, does it mean that we just give up and throw in the towel on financial markets? Of course not. It just begs the question to sit back and say, how is it that I can approach this? How is it that I can try to define my investor profile? How is it that I can define my risk tolerance to markets when I don't have a lot of experience in the markets? If you just come and sit down with me on the live stream for an hour every single Friday, it costs you nothing outside of your time, but you are getting years and years of perspective that I break down for you in identifying what is important. I just gave it to you to ask yourself, look, if I wanted to enter into markets right here, am I buying the NASDAQ at a premium? No, you're buying it at a 30% discount right now. The NASDAQ and the tech is in bear market territory right now as we speak. And if you think that somehow tech is not going to outperform over the next foreseeable future, I mean, tech is going to drive innovation. It's going to drive everything we do as data, as transition to the cloud. AWS is why you buy Amazon right here. And down 41% right now, peak to trough. Amazon's a shooting fish in a barrel investment. Google, as incredible of a balance sheet as they have, the free cash flow that they are almost a technological utility. Google. It's my number one conviction buy right now. It's one of those things that it's tough for me because I already own 4 shares of it. I know that it's going to split to 80. I know there was an actual comment in here wanted me to comment on the splits. I think it's a great opportunity for both of them. I really do. I already own them both. I own 3 shares of Amazon. I own 4 shares of Google. I bought it a little bit higher than off. I'm off 10, 15% in each of them. No big deal. Maybe a little more in Amazon. Amazon's really, really rolled off. But I think you just need to pick your pockets there where you've watched these companies go up immensely, and here they've finally rolled off and given you that real opportunity for an interesting entry. I think to ignore those entries it could be a problem. You could reflect back on this and say, "Good grief, what was I doing? I was sleeping." Ryan said, "Wake up! Look at these things, man. They're worth looking at." And I believe that they are right here. And it's the hardest time to actually sit back and kind of look at it and say, "God dang, are you kidding me, Ryan? Is it okay to buy stock right here?" Yeah, it's the education that we really try to put through there and have that diplomatic approach to the market in all markets. Doesn't matter. This is the way. This is the demeanor that you have to find that middle ground, to be able to diplomatically approach markets and take advantage of those opportunities and not be blinded by everything's going to zero. And your portfolio is going to continue to go down forever. The only thing that hasn't changed in your portfolio is the share balance that you've been able to build up over time. And for you guys that are getting paid dividends, you guys are getting paid dividends every quarter on your stocks. All right. My dividend portfolio hasn't rolled off very much at all. It's holding in there really nicely. hmm Steven said he rolled. I'm going to look to roll some of my less conducive leaps, but I'm going to let it get a little bit closer, see if they can't improve a little bit on the price action because I've got some 2023s that obviously are not looking good right now. So we'll see what happens. And if I need to roll them, I will. No big deal. I mean, it is what it is. It just, it's one of those things to where I look at the opportunity in today's financial markets and I'm extremely bullish. I really am. I do not buy into this whole like America's going to hell and the world's going to hell and there's not going to be better days. I take the exact same approach that I had last year. and the year before, and the year before that, and the year before that. And I am always an unshakable bull, unshakable. And that is the way I invest. And you say, gosh, Ryan, how can you be like that? Well, it's simple. If I can impart to you this, it has just straight up worked. It has straight up worked. And you say, well, this time is going to be different. In what capacity? What would you suggest is the way forward? You would suggest that I take on a different philosophy about financial markets? Would you feel better if I sold half of my portfolio and put it to cash? An asset right now that is depreciating at an 8% clip every single year? Is that what you're just suggesting? No way. You put my money in opportunities for growth, yes. And right now, you look at it and say, you're crazy. I think there's a lot of people out there that are being very, very careful, very, very meticulous about picking their opportunities. And I think there's opportunities out there. They are emerging and they've been emerging for quite some time. And I think if you're savvy and you're willing to put a little bit of risk on the table, I think you could be picking up some incredible opportunities right now. And I don't speak like this when the market's hunky dory. I don't, because I know that the further down the market goes, the more those opportunities will be uncovered, guys. So super, super important for you to understand that, man. Let's get in here and take some questions, man. Briani is in the house here. Better days will coming. Days will eventually subside. It's hard to tell people that, that's for sure. It sure doesn't feel like that. I tell you, it's been a rough ride for me in the portfolio. It's if I have conviction through these markets, I'm good. I mean, I've been pretty proud of myself. I've weathered it since January 1 of last year, where the markets really kind of started to show some signs of cracks. And I've been really good on just holding through on the market. It's just that simple. Have to love those dividends. Absolutely. Very important to have that stability in the portfolio. I do own some cash. I have taken some of that cash, obviously, and deployed some of it strategically into the market, but still sitting on quite a significant amount of cash. And I'm taking just a deliberate monitoring approach to this. It's nice to have it there. I'm not quick to just take and dump all 40 grand of cash on the market that I have accessible to me right now. I could foresee myself coming out of this at some foreseeable point in the future, 3 months, 6 months, years in this year, next year, 2 years. I have no idea. And being in a completely different situation. The only thing that's going to prohibit me from that decision at some point in the future is an ill-fated decision now. That's it. An emotional decision. Well, I can just stop the bleeding now and sell everything. It's the wrong move, and it's setting yourself up for regret down the line. It really is. So you got to be very, very careful. Okay. I'm buying ETFs, large cap growth, small cap growth, total markets. Very, very smart. Very, very smart move. The next buy that I do will be a double up in VTI. I would like to double that position. That's a $10,000 bill. It's just unfortunate for me right now. I'm kind of taking a double and triple whammy. I'm taking a triple whammy on hyper growth. And right now, with the stability that I'm monitoring in Hyliion, unfortunately, I've got to weather about 15 more months to where I think there's going to be catalyst down the line. And I hope they surprise to the upside, but there's no guarantee of that. What's guaranteed is the timelines that's been projected on the earnings call to me. So I'm adjusting accordingly, and I'm not putting a whole lot of new capital to work in way of strategic buying. However, I am dollar cost averaging the market into the S&P, into my index funds. But I do have that total market index that I'd like to go ahead and double up on if given the opportunity. But I'm just kind of holding in there. I'm being tough. And being tough means monitoring, not making an ill-fated decision, making a hypothesis about the next buy that I want to make. And that's really where I'm looking at the portfolio as maybe a pocket of a potential double up. And that's exactly what I'm looking at. HM investors in the house, man. Really appreciate you sharing your thoughts. I agree with that. I mean, You're identifying areas and pockets where you want to put some value to work, and it's just that simple. It's not rocket science. Anybody can kind of take that and look at it and say that's a interesting perspective. Maybe I need to look at what I'm doing and make it happen. I bought and sold nickel a long time ago. Trip wasn't wrong, just early. I certainly wasn't wrong. I mean, guy's an asshole. Come on, guy's a complete douchebag. Early, sure. Misleading, yeah. Liar, yeah. Have they moved on from that? I believe that they have. I don't. Not everybody out there is the personality of Trevor Milton. Okay, and I think where a lot of people would laugh and joke and say, "Well, that's what's necessary to be." I don't want to invest in that kind of stuff. I don't. I don't want to buy into that. There's all kinds of different companies out there that I can buy into. A lot of companies I probably own are doing things far worse than what Trevor Milton did in dragging Nikola through the mud during the SPAC process. I get it. I'm a realist, okay? I'm not going to say that all the companies that I own are just sterling and just have no problems going on internally with them. But I don't make excuses. That was wrong, and the SEC said he was wrong as well. So it's not just my opinion. He had litigation brought against him, and those fines have been assessed. And now Nicola's going after him actually to recoup some of those losses. All right, so very cool stuff. Yeah, Brent's in the house, man. Brent's one of the first ones that was with me on the Independent Investor channel. Kind of speak to some of the community piece to this whole independent investor project, and I just appreciate Brent. He's been with me a long, long time, and I really appreciate you stopping in with me tonight, Brent. It's very cool. Really appreciate. What stocks he talking about? Depends on when I was talking about it. Probably talking about Hyliion. I own about 12,000 shares of the company, and I own about 37 contracts, which obligates me for another 3,700 shares of the company. You're gonna want to perk up and pay attention because um, I take a very diplomatic road with the market. When Hyliion is $50 a share, I'm not going to come on here and jump up and down and scream and yell. It's not one of those things that I'm. Stock market needs to be kept in a box. Okay, I'm proud of a lot of things in my life. Does it have the opportunity to be the investment of a lifetime? Yada yada yada. Yeah, it does. But keep it in check. Okay, it doesn't make it doesn't make you a better person. I've said this many many times. It doesn't make your genitalia bigger. It doesn't. It just you have the ability to buy a stock and that's it. It doesn't mean you're a great investor. It just it means that you made the best decision that you could at the time. Maybe you were off on timing, which is obviously what I am. I'm off on timing on this. Is it going to matter in the future? If it does what it is that I suspect that it's going to do in the foreseeable future, within 24 months, this thing is not going to be at $3 a share. It's not. That's my presumption. And you, as a YouTube audience, get to come on and hear my forward thinking opinion about a company that I have 100% conviction on. It's just a matter of time. This global exposure that they're getting in Davos with regard to this environmental committee that they've just become a part of it is just another advancement in the right direction in getting their name out there in providing solutions. And I think sometimes people kind of get the wrong idea and they try to complicate the idea. This is about moving goods from point A to point B at the lowest cost and meeting the green initiative. That's what this is about, okay? And when I say green initiative, I know that sparks some political interest. I'm apolitical, guys. I'm neutral, okay? I believe a lot on the right and I believe a lot on the left. It's no problem. Where am I left? Well, I'm left in a society that tells me that I should think one way or the other based on a political affiliation. My affiliation, I fly the flag of me. That's it. I am my own personal brand. And if you guys want to step away from this whole bullshit about you need to, be loyal to one political affiliation or another, break free of that garbage. It's not going to help you. Believe what you want to believe. Okay? Believe what you want to believe. I don't mean to get too political on you, but if you believe that we could take steps in the right direction to help reduce the amount of pollution that we put into the air, Hyliion's your bowl. Hyliion is your bowl. It's that simple. And the technology is being emerged right now in such a way to where these solutions are actually viable in the hands of these fleets. So it's going to be interesting to see how the developments take hold over the coming months and specifically years as we approach the latter back half of 2024. Nikola is making noted progress with their product. It's going to be interesting to see how well they're received in industry. And I'm a fan. I sit back, I watch and see how it works. I've got a few dollars at stake in them. Great. Again, Ryan doesn't change. I still continue to come on and do my thing. If Hyliion gets up to $100 a share, I'm going to take some profit and I'm going to roll those into the Home Depots and McDonald's of the worlds. Make no mistake about it. I will always, always, mark my word, keep a small stake or a large stake in this company, depending on what I decide when I do my due diligence at that second look. But absolutely, it's going to be one of those things to where I'm going to use this to embolden my portfolio, both inside my Roth and inside of the taxable brokerage account. For those of you guys who say that you're wrong, Ryan, or you're delusional, no problem. That's your opinion. I could very well be. Doesn't matter. This is my thing. Okay. This is what feels right to me. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And I'm sharing it with you guys. And there's a lot of people out there that share in the same conviction with me. We're just kind of scratching our heads right now in that no matter what you do in the stock market, you're not getting the nod, right? And it's just a tough go at it, man. I got my boy Dave in the house here. Highland going to Davos next week with a surprise announcement this week as Agility invited him, right? So Agility's been there since the beginning. This has been one of those critical pieces that I've been a little bit critical of with Hyliion, with allowing that agility order in my mind to kind of die on the vine a little bit. But I think those orders will turn out. They're on the Hypertruck Innovation Council. I believe that the council that they get the ideas and process improvements that they get from Agility and many others are going to be incorporated in their product. And I think Agility is probably going to be they're going to surprise. They've been right there from the beginning. They know that Hyliion has worked very, very hard in this mission to step into electrification. And when you step back, and I hear all kinds of different scrutinies of this company, it's really, really quite simple. It's quite simple, right? They're using the generator to create the power to charge the batteries that drives the rear axle. Really simple. What does that mean? That sounds really complicated, Ryan, or that sounds really simple. Doesn't matter. The whole idea is that they can propel cargo from point A to point B and make deliveries in a timely manner that provides TCO benefit back to the fleets. That's it in a nutshell. That's it. When that's going to happen? Next year? 2 years down the line? Three? Five? Doesn't matter to me. It's going to happen. Going to happen. They had 75 ride and drives at the ACT Expo, 75. At certain times, there were multiple potential customers in the cabs taking the ride and drive. Hyliion's been very, very forward with their PR that they've been rolling out. And I think they've been doing a wonderful job. I sat there and listened to the reception in the cab of the truck, and everybody was like, oh my God, this is a game changer. Oh my God. They say the same thing, all of them. Nobody's got in this truck and said, oh my goodness, this is terrible. This is really, really noisy. Or, oh my gosh, this is the exact same as a diesel truck. Nobody said that. And if they had, trust me, I'd be the first one to come onto YouTube and share it with you guys. Like, hey, maybe this isn't so special. Maybe this isn't the right way. Maybe this is a pipe dream. That's not what people are saying. I'm not making this up, guys, right? It's just what's going on. Okay? Will they incur problems? No, maybe, probably. Are there going to be ideas from the fleet that they want incorporated? I hope so. I think that's going to be great. But where this thing goes from here, there has been enough material with this company that there would have been no way a year and a half ago that I could have identified with this company that they have surprised to the upside on. And I don't believe that just stops with an all stop and they just stop innovating and stop providing catalysts or stop identifying these grant programs. The grant program really for me was like, oh my God, I sat back off of that and I was like, well, that's killer stuff right there. That's big. That's a big deal where the government steps in and says, hey, fleet, the time is now. The time is now. The time of making the decision to go full diesel is over. Okay. You're going to have to change your thought processes. There are solutions out there that do apply for these credits, and you do need to employ the services of some of these solutions. It's just that simple. Now, all I got to do is sit back, lean on it, and wait. I'm just having a little Crown Royal tonight. Hmm. Hmm. Fantastic. Highly onto the moon, maybe. We'll see what happens. It's gonna take some time, that's for sure. As every day that goes by that this stock gains a little bit of traction here, I'd love to see it get above the $5, $6 level. By the end of the year, I'd love to see it above the $10 level. That's my short-term, medium-term thesis. I have a price target on the company at $24. I think that's fairly modest. When it gets up to $10, $12, I'll revise that to the upside to 38.50. With the eventual revision up above 50 and above its current high, because I understand the valuation of what it needs to get to for units sold. And I have no reason to believe that they're not going to have those units sold logged with the help of the OEMs that are also in receipt of those mandates to turn out to the fleets. Remember, guys, there's 300,000 trucks being turned over every single year. 300,000. There was a figure of 1.5 million trucks on the road right now that are 4 to 7 years old right now, which introduces a whole other market out there of these companies that are still forced to run on diesel. If this product becomes available and the price of diesel is still high, Brent crude right now is 116 a barrel as of today. As of today. So do we think that diesel's rolling off right here? Yeah, I don't know. I beg to differ. I think high fuel costs are probably going to be around at least for the foreseeable future because I don't think that this conflict abroad is going away anytime soon. At least from the recent article that I read today. Okay, so be interesting to continue to monitor that with the fuel costs and how this could potentially drive the decision making. The fleets just not really in the convenient spot of they're forced to look at these additional solutions out there and making these decisions to to help their bottom line. It's just that simple. Russia's stock market is outperforming. Nice. Yeah. Sky is falling according to the experts. Investing is not a short-term trading. Know the difference. Um, I think if there were more conduits that were out there really aimed at, and I think even CNBC, they get how stupid they are with regard to their just going with the momentum all the time. I remember when I talked about going against the flow the majority of the time. They're trying to play into that and they're trying to sell that to people because they know people are interested in tuning into the markets. And if the market's going down, they don't expect to tune into CNBC and Yahoo Finance and have people saying everything's okay. They don't expect that. And not everything is okay. But that's not the driving decision making metric that you need to be using in entering into financial markets when the time is conducive to do that. Okay. You need to be looking at these as opportunities. It's kind of just that simple, really. Have an opposite philosophy of the way everybody else looks at the market, and you'll be fine. With other things, not so much. How you seek out relationships, how you seek out your aggressive posture at work, how you take care of yourself, how you deal with injects in your life, and you have a problem arise and you find a solution for it and you fix it. Stock market's completely different. And these are some of the learnings that you have to kind of understand when you're looking at what to do here. What do I do, Ryan? Help me. What do I do? Continue to fund the market. The dollar cost average will continue to be that very baseline. It will be that continual lifeline for the rest of your life. It really will. You should be dollar cost averaging like wearing your seatbelt every time you get into an automobile. You should be dollar cost averaging no matter what the market has to dole out. Very important to understand that. And as you look to build upon that, you can look at different parts of the portfolio and say, you know what, I'm not dollar cost averaging my dividend portfolio, but it's paying me right now. Everybody's talking about the market going down, and oh my goodness, but my value's holding up. Not only is it holding up, but it's actually paying me dividends right now. That's great. Okay. My passive investments have rolled off a little bit. Maybe I can throttle up the DCA a little bit as the market comes back a little bit. Maybe as the market recovers a little bit, maybe I can throttle back and go back to a posture of normalcy. Okay. Or you can do a strategic buy here that Jared's talking about, where you just say, you know what? I'm going to buy 5, 10 shares of the market right here, like I did with TQQQ today. Now, I don't recommend the alternate investment and strategy for the faint of heart. It's very volatile. Okay. It's 3x what the triple Qs will do. And it's an alt strategy. Okay. So it's a little bit different. I also own the triple Qs, but to take a set amount of money and say, you know what, I'm gonna up it right here. I'm gonna buy 10 shares of the market right here. That's prudent decision making, and it will prove out to be prudent down the line, insofar as you'll remember back and you'll say, "Gosh, I remember when it was so terrible." And Ryan talked about just taking your shots, taking your spots, picking your spots, adding a little strategic inject here and there, and you'll look back and say, I'm glad I did that. I wish I would have been more aggressive, right? Everybody plays that game. Everybody is like, I wish I would have done more when I had the opportunity to do more. I mean, we are just a couple years removed of the pandemic low, which was March 18th of 2020. Right around that time, I'm a couple days in that. It was about 18.2, 18.3, 18.4 on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. But everybody looked at that and said, "Ah, we're going to retest the bottom," and that ended up being the bottom. And everybody was like, you know, "Gosh, I wish I would have done more. Why didn't I do more? That was the opportunity of a lifetime." Blah 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 blah. Thing about it is, it's easier to sit there and second guess yourself after the fact. We are in the fact right now, guys. This is the time where you want to be wealth building for the future. For anybody out there that has not been involved in financial markets, what a great opportunity to actually participate. I don't know if they're asking for my email address. It's actually on the channel. This is one of them. I'll throw it in there for you. You can hit me up. It's actually on the front page of the channel as well. That's me. Hit me up. No biggie. Here to help. It's all good. We had a new Viper come into the group today. I'd like to welcome Gabe to the community. Thanks for signing up. Anybody who signs up for my Patreon automatically gets entered into my Viper group. It's a small group, and they're serious about it. We've got about 50 patrons in there, which is fabulous. Okay. I don't screw around. I'm in there every single day. We engage, we ask each other questions. I've got a few geniuses in there that I am in debt to them for being part of the group, because they're just they're studs. I'm not. I'm just, you know, kind of an ugly feller that comes on and runs the Independent Investor channel, and I'm very convicted in my approach. But got some really cool minds in the WhatsApp group, and you can enter the group directly through my Shopify site. You can go to independentinvestorgroup.com. You can enter through there. But again, if you do sign up and pledge to the Patreon, you can do that. There's exclusive content on there, and you also get access to the private Viber group, and access to me for your 1 hour session if you want to take advantage of that. Some people do, some people don't. It's no big deal, but they just like that ability to use social media to provide themselves that support structure. And I love rendering it. I'm constantly monitoring markets, and I love helping people. So it works really well, really does. Michael's in the house, man. That's a hell of a guitar, Michael. That's awesome, man. Really cool. Just chilling, adding when I can. Very cool, Michael. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you stopping by. Winding down a little bit. It was a good live stream tonight. Really appreciate the candid discussion. Really appreciate the conversation before I came live. But wanted to come on and just kind of do a Q&A with you guys. There was no script tonight. There was no agenda. Come on, have a cocktail for the fastest 60 minutes on YouTube, man. I was super, super glad that you guys are continuing to support the project, and we continue to be forward with our thought process and emboldening the retail community and understanding the right way to invest. And I do contend this is the right way to invest. It is. Okay. I know there's a lot of people that want to play into this trying to time the market game. I do not. I know there's a lot of people out there that would have you believe that being scared right now in financial markets is the correct way. I beg to differ. I think strong moves in the market have its place. I think fundamental approaches to the stock market is the only way to win over the long term. It's just that simple. I've proven it over time, and I'll continue to prove it. And the more I continue to prove it, wealth build for myself, and continue to share my story, the more people are going to have to take note, because this stuff works. Okay. You can be wishy washy with your application all you want. I'm not looking to be wishy washy with my life. Okay. Eliminate the regrets that are potential. Get on board with the Independent Investor Channel community. Take control of your financial future. Do it on your own. Trust yourself. Be your best advocate for your financial future. Don't trust others. You don't even need to trust me. Okay. You should be the #1 champion of your program. It's just that simple. And when we're looking to empower one investor at a time, it's the sheer intent of my message that we look to foot stomp every single week. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into the live stream. We'll be back next Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the fastest 60 minutes on YouTube. Be well. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you next week.